Recollection Road is proud to partner with LEGACYBOX. If you've considered preserving your family's memories, then watch until the end of this video to see how LEGACYBOX can help you do it. The practice of knocking on someone's door, or even ringing the doorbell, was once something that was common and seen as neighborly. It didn't matter that the knock was unexpected. The door would kindly open, and you could ask to borrow something, or if a friend could come out to play. But today, the sound of someone unexpected at your front door gets a completely different reaction. Some people pretend that they're not home and hope they go away, while others answer the door as if someone is trespassing. It's a much different world than it used to be, at least in some neighborhoods. Back before video games and cellular technology invaded our lives, it wasn't just common, it was pretty much mandatory for kids to play outside without any supervision. There were no helicopter parents, and kids were left to use their imagination to keep themselves busy. This sometimes meant making mud pies after it rained, or maybe even building a fort with friends somewhere out in the woods. It didn't matter what we did, the point was that we were forced to occupy our free time by being active. Times have certainly changed, with parents being much more cautious about safety. It seems the world has become filled with constant dangers that discourages kids from roaming free or being unattended at all. Sexism at work seemed to be much more acceptable decades ago. Male chauvinist behavior was something women dealt with pretty regularly, especially in the workplace. Now, this wasn't how everyone treated women, but inappropriate behavior was occurring, and it was often just brushed aside or laughed off. Today, the social norms are much more strict when it comes to what can be said to anyone, especially in any work environment. Lawsuits and now cancel culture are how many of these issues are dealt with today. Remember when not wearing a seatbelt was an option? Today we understand the critical role seatbelts play in saving lives during accidents. But if we think back to even the 1980s, wearing a seatbelt was not required in many places. A combination of passing new laws, awareness campaigns on TV and billboards, and most importantly, the help of police enforcement has made strapping on seatbelts second nature, and most of us really don't even think about it anymore. The airport experience used to be much different than it is today. Saying goodbye didn't mean standing on the curb in front of the terminal, but rather walking them to the gate and waiting with them until they boarded the plane. The same went for when you were picking someone up, and you could walk to the gate to greet them as they got off the plane. Security concerns after 9/11 have changed who can go beyond a security checkpoint, so we're left with quick goodbyes at the car and text messages letting us know when they've boarded and landed. Spanking was once a widely accepted way to discipline an unruly child. At home, it may have been a belt, and at school, you might have gotten the paddle. And those are two things that would never go over today. For some, spanking doesn't work and is abusive, while the other side considers the lack of spanking to be what's wrong with society today. There is no doubt that in today's world, spanking is now taboo, and there is a much greater emphasis on positive parenting techniques that encourages communication and understanding. Smoking was not only socially acceptable back in the day, but it was something that seemingly everyone did. Filtered and unfiltered cigarettes, pipes, or cigars, everyone had their favorite. You could smoke on airplanes, in restaurants, in your car with the windows rolled up. It really didn't matter. But as the health risks associated with smoking grew, regulations were established to limit smoking in public places. Then excessive taxes were added onto packs of cigarettes, which further limited their use. Now smoking is much less common, and it's hard to find a place where smoking is still allowed indoors. Getting chickenpox used to be just part of growing up. Up until the mid-1990s, everyone would eventually get them, and then get over them. So to speed up the inevitable, some people held chickenpox parties as a way to expose their children to the virus and just get it over with. Nowadays, vaccines prevent kids from catching chickenpox altogether, and you certainly wouldn't see someone posting on Facebook about an upcoming chickenpox party. Sunscreen is now something that everyone considers when they plan on spending an extended time in the sun. But there was a time when people would bask in the hot sun without any UV protection. Getting a sunburn and then having your skin peel was something we all experienced. They even had suntan oils that would help you get a darker tan, so there was basically no fear of too much sun exposure. Today, sunscreen is a big business, and the stuff has gotten really expensive. This is especially true after many brands of sunscreen were pulled from store shelves because they contain the cancer-causing chemical benzene. If you wanted to get from point A to point B, and you didn't have your own car, all you had to do was hold out your thumb along the side of the road. Hitchhiking was a perfectly acceptable mode of transportation back in the 1960s and 1970s. But as concerns about safety rose, and new laws made it a crime, it became largely obsolete. In today's world, hitchhiking has been replaced with paid hitchhiking in the form of Uber and Lyft. Now instead of thumbing for a ride, you just whip out your phone and then some random person pulls up and offers you a ride. How many of us remember going to the circus? These events used to be where you could see live animals entertaining thousands of people. There were elephants, lions, tigers, and many other exotic animals, plus death-defying acrobatics and other curious sideshows. But it was the animals that made the circus the circus. After many years of hearing about the mistreatment and the sad conditions that many of these animals lived in, public concern shifted to the animals' welfare and more ethical treatment. This meant that many circuses had to change their business model, one that didn't include animals in captivity. Many colleges and professional sports teams from the past have had to rethink their name and mascot in order to be more culturally sensitive. For years and years, Indians and other Native American nicknames have been used by teams to represent their brand. Names like Savages, Chiefs, and Redmen were once considered completely acceptable, but over time, the racially insensitive mascots have begun to be phased out. The Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians are probably the best examples of this, but there have been many others that have quietly changed their name to be more inclusive and less offensive. Bicycle helmets have been around for a long time, but it took a long time for them to catch on. Prior to the 2000s, children could be found riding their bikes around their neighborhoods without any head protection. The helmet was almost laughable if you were caught wearing one by your friends, but as the risk of head injuries became a bigger societal concern, they began to show up on the heads of younger riders, and they just never left. Today, wearing a helmet while riding your bike is commonplace and seen as just another basic safety measure. Coincidentally, you also see less children riding bikes around the neighborhood, so gone are the days when you could tell where all your friends were just by looking at the pile of bicycles in the front yard. Remember when you would ride in the car with your parents to run errands? Many of us do, and it was pretty common for the kids to wait in the car while mom or dad ran inside. Unattended children in cars with the windows down was all too common back in the day, but lately this practice is frowned upon. I'm not sure if it's the fear of kidnapping or the dangers of extreme temperatures, but this is something you rarely see nowadays. Stories on the news of children suffering from heat stroke or even death hasn't helped, and some states have even implemented laws prohibiting parents altogether from leaving their children in the car by themselves. Just a couple decades ago, the thought of packing a peanut butter sandwich in your lunch was considered a great idea. It's hard to believe that this would ever change, but with allergic reactions to peanuts becoming dangerous for those exposed, things have indeed changed. Many schools, airlines, and businesses have banned peanuts and any peanut product from being served so that people with peanut allergies don't have to worry about keeping an EpiPen close by. For some, the allergic reaction can be life-threatening. So those innocent school lunches that included a peanut butter sandwich now look a little bit different than they used to. Over the years, many baby products have been banned due to safety concerns. For instance, a standard baby crib that was once considered safe was scrutinized in just about every way in the name of safety. The firmness of the mattress, the bedding, the decorations around the crib, and even the position that newborn babies sleep have been completely updated. Not to mention drop-side cribs, which were the ones that had one side that could be dropped down, were found to pose a risk of entrapment or strangulation for infants. These concerns, along with sudden infant death syndrome, have been the driving force behind regulations that affect these now banned baby products. The days of recess games like dodgeball and Red Rover, which were once popular on playgrounds across the country, are now considered too rough. With safety concerns tightening, physical education now looks quite different. Dodgeball in particular was found to be too aggressive and potentially dangerous, with some children suffering from concussions and even broken bones. And Red Rover was also found to pose a risk of injury, with some children getting hurt while running or being tackled. As the years pass, it seems like everything has become about minimizing risk, and I would imagine the lawsuits filed by some parents have also been a contributing factor. Mercury was once a common substance used in thermometers and even light switches, and for some children, it was also fun to play with. Science classes would often use it in experiments, but that was before it was discovered that mercury can be extremely hazardous to human health, especially when it is inhaled or ingested. Exposure to mercury can cause a range of health problems, including neurological damage, respiratory issues, and kidney damage. With that in mind, mercury has been phased out completely for use in fever thermometers, and numerous states have even banned it completely. Three-wheeler ATVs were once a popular recreational vehicle, especially for children. However, in 1988, they were banned after numerous injuries occurred after the three-wheeler rolled over. They became known as unstable and prone to flipping, which effectively made them illegal to purchase in the US. The ban was pretty immediate too, following a slew of reports of accidents that led to serious injuries or death. Now, adventure seekers opt for the safer four-wheel ATV for all of their off-roading. Silicone breast implants were once the most popular cosmetic surgery around. Women during the 1980s and 1990s who were seeking larger, natural-looking enhancements opted for these type of implants because of the way they looked and felt. But after some women began to experience health issues, it was discovered that their implants had actually ruptured, and the silicone was leaking into their body, causing autoimmune disorders. As a result, silicone breast implants were banned in the US in the early 1990s, but they were later reapproved after further studies showed that they were safe. Still, many women today opt for saline implants rather than silicone. Lawn darts was once a fun outdoor game played by many families. The heavy, pointed darts were designed to stick into the ground when tossed in the air, but they ended up posing a serious risk of injury to children. During the 1970s, warning labels were added to the packaging in an effort to make them safer, but after thousands of reported injuries, and even some deaths, lawn darts were eventually banned outright in 1988. Recollection Road loves to recommend LEGACYBOX because we both believe in preserving the past. If you have a cluttered closet with cherished home videos and photos that rarely see the light of day, then you need to visit LEGACYBOX.com/recollection. These irreplaceable heirlooms are rapidly fading away, and they deserve to be digitized and shared with family and friends. And right now, LEGACYBOX is offering you $9 tape transfers. The process is simple. Send in your LEGACYBOX filled with old VHS tapes, camcorder tapes, and pictures. Their team will professionally digitize everything by hand, right here in the USA. You'll get the originals returned to you, along with organized digital copies. I love LEGACYBOX because it makes all my favorite memories available anytime. I can post them on social media or pull up a slideshow on my TV, which keeps special family moments alive. Visit LEGACYBOX.com/recollection to shop their $9 tape sale. That's LEGACYBOX.com/recollection to unlock this incredible offer. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and make sure to check the description of this video for links to pick up a t-shirt and sign up for the newsletter. Thank you to our loyal Patreon supporters listed here. Visit patreon.com/recollectionroad to join the club.